is Dr. Carrie Hepburn from Compass PD, and I am super excited today because we have a very special guest. One of my colleagues, Julie West, is going to be joining us from Texas today. Hi, Julie.
Hi,
Well, Julie,
excited
I'm
to
really good. I'm excited to have you here. I'm excited to have you. I'm going to give our listeners just a little bit of information about who you are and what you do. And so Julie lives in Texas. She's a Texas gal, and she is an experienced educator. She's been teaching and in leadership position for the last 18 years in public schools. She currently is working as a coach. She focuses on supporting new hires and helping them develop systems and strategies that will help them have successful careers in education. And I think it's really critical right now more than ever because we know how demanding it is to be an educator. And so helping our new teachers, especially, create these systems and these supports for them to have longevity and happiness enjoying their career is key. Julie also has authored a book on this topic, and her book is called Teach in Positive Circles, Creating Opportunities for Growth and Reflection. So welcome, Julie. So
Thank
glad to have
you.
you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
I thought it would be fun for us to kick off our podcast today where you could tell us first of all, I have to tell everyone I have my notebook and my professional notebook and my pen. So I'm super excited to get started taking notes from Julie today because she has so much valuable insight to share with us. I would love for you to kick this off today, telling us a little bit about your journey in education.
Absolutely. I actually started later in my life. I was a flight attendant for American Airlines for 10 years. And so decided to really pray about it and figure out what I wanted to do. And went into education, got my degree at Texas A&M Commerce, continued there and received my master's degree, started teaching. And in the 18 years that I've taught, I've done a lot of professional developments, a lot of research, a lot of studies, and two of my very favorite people that I just researched and actually were a part of my book was John Hattie and Robert Emmons, and they just have played a big role in a lot of my philosophies.
Nice. Well, I think you know how I feel about John Hattie.
Yes,
He's kind of like what they call your cognitive crush for
yes,
sure. He
yes.
and Jay McTighe and Grant Wiggins, who's the late Grant Wiggins, but they're just like so inspiring. There's so many more, but
Yes,
it's just
absolutely.
one of those things that we used to talk about. Wonderful. So thank you for sharing that. I started my career later in life as well. Wasn't sure what I wanted to be, and education was just ended up being my life's work. And the more people listen to you and hear from you, they're going to hear, I think, that same message that you're exactly where you're supposed to be as an
Absolutely.
educator. It's a good life. So you've talked about how you have a passion for new teachers and supporting them. What led you to have a passion for working with new teachers? How did this happen?
Well, initially, as a new teacher, it was the excitement of that first year, being in the classroom and just inspiring students. I had such a huge support system. We had an academy that we went through. I had wonderful mentors. I had my team, and the support was just amazing. But it still seemed like there were things that I didn't experience and I had to learn on my own that were difficult.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so as the years progressed and I went through education, I started noticing that there was less and less support for new teachers. And my heart just really started to hurt for them. And I knew that a change needed to be had because it was really affecting our students.
Hmm.
So this is where my heart really went into, and I just felt like I could make a difference.
Right. I would love for you to tell us about some of the things that you're doing for your well, first of all, I want to agree with you, that our new teachers are getting less and less support because the demand on our resources like time and money and people is just getting pulled in too many directions. But I would love for you to talk about some of the things that you're doing in your district that you're seeing success with, like your partnerships, that kind of thing. Do you mind sharing?
No, not at all. So, working with the teachers, we start and it's huge on relationships. I get to know them. I really become part of their classroom. I go in and support in ways. I look for what is the need. Is it management? Is it content? Where do we need to start? And then we just kind of progress. I can model side by side with them. And
Mhm,
sometimes, I take ownership of their children and actually model for them. And they really seem to love that because
mhm.
oftentimes teachers are, they'll say, oh, but you don't understand, not with my kids. And so
Right.
when you actually go into the classroom and become part of that room, it makes a huge difference on building that trust.
It it does. We see that a lot in lab sites too,
Mhm.
that, sometimes you have to bring the research and the application of that learning to life. Not
Yeah.
sometimes, all the time, actually, research shows us
Mhm.
that we have to model that in classrooms so that we can see what that looks like, and um, it does help with the light bulbs and that you can see that your kids can do it and that it
Mhm.
is possible. How do you partner with your administration in this work of supporting your new teachers? What does that look like?
I just really tried to work with them on understanding that we need to build the relationship first and really have those check-ins with the new teachers, and also developing some systems and putting those into place with the new teacher program. In our district, we have a very strong new teacher program, and we support our new teachers, and we begin actually checking in very, very early, right after we hire them. So we just keep a constant communication open so that they know that we care and we really want them to be invested, and we're invested in them.
Hmm. What are some things that you do um, for that though? Like, what are some of the things that you do when you check in or keep that communication open that like help that they can expect in that new teacher program?
Well, we've started by initially sending out T-shirts, our district T-shirt in the summer
Ah,
to all of our new teachers. And then when they come on board, this year is something new. I'm planning to do a coffee time with them. And so just kind of getting to know them prior to school starting will be fun. We've requested that they give us all their favorites on a
mm,
spreadsheet so that
mhm,
we can give them treats when they come that first week of school. So it's
mhm.
just really building those relationships and again, knowing that we're here for them.
Yeah, I agree. And there's something about Um, one of the things that we like to do is, like, do a favorite things list, and so we've done
Mhm.
that. We used to do that with teachers, we used to do
Yes,
that with administrators, all of that, and just sometimes when somebody's going through a hard time or just something shows up and it's something that they know about you and it took you may have filled it out, but they took the time to look at it, and make sure that they were thinking of you when they wrote a note or a
yes.
Post-it and gave you your favorite candy bar, your favorite soda, or anything,
Right. And I think
it means a
sometimes
lot.
too, for administrators, it's the fact of just the little things, sometimes walking by and noticing something or asking them, what did you learn this week? Just
Mhm,
inquiring with different kinds of questions instead of just always being that evaluator.
mhm. I agree. What did you learn this week? I love that. that question. I love the question, like, "What did you learn this week?" Because sets it's an implicit question that sets the expectation that we're all learning. And
Absolutely.
so something like that, like the students are learning, the teachers are learning, the administrators are learning. It's
Mm,
just a beautiful question that it just sets the expectation without having to say it, that
yes.
we're here to learn. And
Yes, and I
so
think too, training our teachers, our new teachers, especially as well, that they are leaders as well. Maybe having them open a professional development day or sharing something that they're very knowledgeable about, because that really
yeah,
builds that self-esteem.
it does. And um I think your first few years in education as a teacher, you just don't know what you don't know. And sometimes we experience things we've never thought we would experience.
Absolutely.
And you're just really not prepared for some of the things. And so just knowing that, hey, we're in this together and we've got your
Mhm.
back and we're going to take care of you. And
And
that's wonderful. The
I always
relationship is critical.
Yeah, and I always tell new teachers, ask the questions. And then if something's not working, change it. Do
Hmm.
that reflection piece every week, because you don't want to continue something that's not working. And then know that you have that support system to help you change it if needed.
Hmm. Hmm. So when you work with administrators who are maybe new to some of this work and having, especially the amount of new teachers that we're seeing come into the profession, what are some tips that you have for them in supporting their new teachers?
Well, again, I go back to that building the relationship. Without that relationship and the culture of the building, I feel like that we're starting at a really, you know, starting at a place that's difficult to travel further to. Um, and
Mm,
then from there, I think putting those systems into place, those support systems, because as we know, administrators, they can't do it all. They need a
mm-mm,
team of people. So really thinking about who are those people, who are the culture builders, who are the people that know the pedagogy, like who are the ones that we can really ask to go in and support these new teachers, because
mm-hmm,
we really want to empower them and not overburden them.
mm-hmm.
So I
I
think it,
love that phrase.
yeah,
Empower, not overburden.
I think it's important, because sometimes we put systems in place where we have too many people, going in and checking on them and giving them advice, and then
Hmm.
you just shut down. So there's a
For,
there's a really happy medium there.
for sure. I think a lot of times about how when I started my career, over 20 years ago, email was out, but it wasn't used. Just email
Yes.
alone is
Mhm.
so overwhelming.
Absolutely.
Um, just the sheer volume of email and instant communication and,
Mhm.
putting systems in place where we have so many teachers that, especially in elementary, like their send seesaw messages to the parents every single
Mhm.
day. And I'm thinking, that amount, just managing communication
Mhm.
is overwhelming and can be burdensome, and we haven't even
Yeah.
talked about instruction, we
Right.
haven't talked about,
Mhm.
curriculum, we haven't talked about PLCs, we haven't talked about any of those things, and it
Absolutely.
has changed so much over the years, so we do want to, empower and not overburden, as you said.
One of the other things that I recommend for administrators is to really put on your calendar to check in with new teachers,
Mm,
because sometimes, the administrator becomes overburdened with so many things on their calendar. So if that's not um, set in place, then the new teacher kind of gets misplaced, or, not, it's not that the administrator is not thinking of them, it's just, it doesn't happen.
mm. Well, and something we say a lot when we're in schools and we're walking or in districts, like we highlight what we value. We make time for things that
Mhm.
we value. And so, if we want to value our people and our teams, one of the ways that we do that is we make sure it's intentionally highlighted on the calendar so that
Mhm.
we do it. Because I can tell you, if it's not on my calendar, it's not happening. And
Right.
I know that it's the same with administrators, and
Mhm.
some administrators have really great structures, systems in place that they have that on their calendar biweekly. They have
Mhm.
checking in with different PLCs or different leaders
Correct. Yeah.
regularly, and maybe what those questions are so it can be on the forefront of their mind. So
Yes.
that's such a great tip. Do you have any other tips for administrators?
I think it's just having fun, bringing fun back to education. Laughter is good. So
Hmm.
that is just something that I would really love to spread because we're losing that from all the stress and the burnout. So just trying to make some things and put some things into place to have fun.
I think learning is fun.
It is.
It should I get energized when I see myself become a better pickleball player. Like, I'm
Yeah.
learning, I'm terrible at it, but every time I make, like, a little step or I make a good shot, you would think that just, like, I had just won the lottery or something because
Right.
it should be fun, it should be energizing, it should be, um, uplifting,
Yes,
and so how can
absolutely.
we create those spaces in our schools
Mhm.
and do deep learning at the same time? What are your top 3 tips for new teachers?
That balance, keeping a
Mm,
good home work balance where you really listen to your body, you listen to your thoughts. And if you're getting where you are feeling burnt out, then, seeking that support that you need. Because I
mm,
know, as a first year teacher, you want to be perfect. You want it all to
mm,
go so smooth and well. And they have just this habit of staying way too late, working on the weekends. And so I just feel like, when I'm coaching, I really try to let them know we've got to find that balance. So let's set aside this night you can stay at school, the rest of the nights you're at home, so
mhm,
just really trying to figure out that balance would be
mm,
my first tip. The second one would be reflection,
mm,
just really sit and reflect. Daily would be good, but if you can't do it daily, then, try weekly and to make notes because I know every year as a practitioner, I would learn something new or I would try something and it didn't work. And if I had
mhm,
it in my notebook, then I remembered over the summer, I could kind of go back over it and go, oh, I need to really tweak that for next year.
for
So,
sure. I love
um,
that.
and then the next one is just goes back to the relationships. A new teacher, they may not be aware of all the relationships that they're going to be going through and dealing with at a new district.
Mhm,
It's your students, it's the other teachers, it's the administrators, it's the parents, so it's just the cafeteria ladies, the janitors. So it's just
right.
really learning that balance and understanding ourselves as well.
I agree. I agree. Something, I would tell new teachers when I was able to work with them too would be in the balance as you were talking, don't try to do everything that everyone else is doing. Keep it
Mm-hmm.
simple. You can add more as you go. And some of the best teachers I ever worked with had simple routines and structures in their
Mm-hmm.
classroom, and it happened every single day. And when you looked at their data, their students had the most growth and they, were happier.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the kids were happier, there were less behaviors, the
Mm-hmm.
teacher was happier, it was really about keeping it simple. They had
Mm-hmm.
fun, it
Yeah.
just didn't have all that. the extra stuff that we tend to pile on ourselves, thinking that
Mhm.
if
It's
we
neat.
keep it simple, it's
Yeah.
not fun, you know,
Right.
and it
Mhm.
is. It
Mhm.
really
No, I
is.
agree. Yeah.
So,
And I really feel like, kids, they crave that consistency, to know that every day I'm coming into that same thing, it's not going to be chaos. So,
yeah, for sure.
mhm.
I love that. What excites you most about the new teachers you've been working with?
Oh, I think it's when I see the growth in the teacher. And especially this time of year when they're still very excited about teaching. Um, just being able to go in and watch them be reflective practitioners and tell me about the things they've learned over the year.
Mhm,
Yeah, and just watching them bloom. It is so
mhm,
exciting to see.
mhm. And that love they love doing what they do,
Yes,
and
yes.
that
And they can tell me the reasons behind it too, it's
uh-huh, mm,
specifics that they can
mhm,
relate to me. And then I think the appreciation too, they're so appreciative of the real and the raw, and that's what I
mhm.
really tried to put in my book is let's get away from that theory and let's really go deep into what's really going to happen in that classroom.
Right, right, because you never know sometimes. There are times where you just might not know what's gonna happen.
Yes,
I
yes.
love it. Well, what I'm really excited about, Julie, too, is that you're joining our team and you are available to work with school districts and schools that are wanting to set up systems and supports for their new teachers to ensure that they're successful. So, for anyone who's listening and interested in learning more about that, please reach out so that we can chat about that because we would love to talk about customizing a system for you. This is
Yes.
one of my another next part of my favorite part is to do some rapid fire questions. So,
Okay.
my first question is, what are your top 3 favorite books?
Oh, goodness. Well, I think about when I was growing up, one of my very favorite books was Anne of Green Gables. I'm
Oh,
adopted, and so it was just a very meaningful book to me. Um, Another one that just was a classic was Where the Red Fern Grows. It just
mhm,
impacted me as a child. I think recently I read another book that my superintendent actually recommended called The Invisible Thread. And it was
ooh,
just one of those books where you laugh, you cry, just so emotional. And I loved it.
mm.
So that moved to one of the top on my list.
Oh, that's great. I haven't read The Invisible Thread. I'll have to check
Oh,
that
yes,
out. That
yes.
sounds so interesting. What
Yeah.
is your favorite pump you up song? What song, like, gets you going?
Um, I think there's one that I love to work out to, and it's called I Lived by One Republic. And I
Mm,
really like that song because when I look back at my life, I don't have any regrets. And it
mm.
just talks about, living every moment to the fullest. And that's what I really seek to do every day.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. I don't even know if I know that song, but I wrote it down so that I
Yeah.
can go back and check it out. I just want to thank you, Julie, for all that you do and for the gift you are to education. It truly is a blessing, and you are inspiring to me, and I know so many other educators. So, for those who are listening, anyone who wants to learn more about how to work with Julie, reach out to me and we'll get you connected. So,
Yes,
thank
I
you so
would love
much,
it.
Julie.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.